Welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's just jump right into this because today we're looking at a deeply relatable and honestly kind of embarrassing human behavior. Picture this. You're in the middle of a super serious argument, or maybe even experiencing a moment of profound grief, right? And suddenly, completely against your own will, you just start laughing or smiling. It is an absolutely terrible feeling in the moment. I mean, it makes it look like you don't care at all, like you're completely detached from reality. But psychology? Well, it tells a completely different story. Today, we're breaking down exactly why we laugh at pain. And I promise you, by the end of this explainer, you're going to look at this uncomfortable reaction in a totally new light. So, let me just ask you directly. Have you ever laughed at pain? Have you ever felt that incredibly awkward, almost impossible to ignore urge to giggle when things get heated or stressful or just way too serious? If you have, take a deep breath, because you are definitely not alone. It's one of those things that leaves so many of us feeling guilty, or frankly, broken. You're probably sitting there thinking, why on earth am I smiling right now? This is awful. But here's the thing. Your brain isn't betraying you. It's actually pulling off something incredibly sophisticated right behind the scenes. And this really highlights the core misunderstanding we have about this whole thing. On one hand, you've got what the outside world sees. They look at you and think you're being cold, insensitive, or that you're just not taking the situation seriously at all. But on the flip side, the psychological reality is entirely different. It's an emotional survival tool. The research shows you aren't being insensitive in the slightest. Your brain is literally deploying laughter as this complex, subconscious mechanism just to survive the moment emotionally. It's not a lack of empathy, it's actually a desperate attempt by your mind to handle something it finds entirely overwhelmingly heavy. All right, moving right along to Section 1, a nervous system reset, how the brain prevents emotional overload. So the science behind what's actually happening in your head here is absolutely fascinating. In the psychology world, it's called incongruous affect. And by definition, this is a psychological response where your mind produces laughter during a sad or highly stressful moment. Now, why would it do that? Simply put, to regulate your nervous system. Think about it. When emotions like fear, pain, or extreme stress become just too intense for you to process all at once, your brain feels completely overloaded. So, to prevent a total emotional short circuit, it deliberately swaps out tears for laughter. It's this automatic, involuntary pivot designed specifically to keep you functioning. Let's actually walk through how this goes down, step by step. Step 1, you experience an intense emotion or a huge spike in stress. Step 2, your brain's overload warning system basically starts flashing red. The threshold for what you can safely handle, yeah, it's been crossed. So, Step 3, laughter is automatically triggered. And remember, it's not because things are funny. It happens because of Step 4. Built-up tension gets released. Laughter acts as a quick biological relief valve for a mind that is totally maxed out. Your nervous system is essentially slamming the reset button so you don't just collapse under the sheer weight of whatever you're feeling. Which brings us to Section 2, shields and social masks. Humor as a barrier against vulnerability. Now, the really crucial point to grasp here is that laughter isn't just a biological reflex. It's deeply, deeply social. For a lot of people, especially if you're an overthinker, being seen in a state of raw, honest pain is downright terrifying. It strips away the mask you usually wear in public. So by laughing or cracking a joke when you're hurting, you are essentially doing what the research calls hiding behind possibilities. You're holding on to a social mask. I mean, if you can laugh at a situation, it instantly feels a little less threatening, right? You're using humor as a shield to stay in control of the narrative. It projects this message of, hey, I'm totally fine, even when your internal world is just absolute chaos. It's a way to avoid showing true vulnerability when doing so feels incredibly unsafe. Let's look a little deeper in Section 3. Learned childhood survival patterns, how early environments shape automatic responses. We've really got to ask, where does this protective shield even come from? Well, it turns out it's very often a deeply ingrained survival pattern that we pick up incredibly early in life. You see, many people who automatically laugh during stressful times actually grew up in environments where showing negative emotions like sadness, fear, or anger just wasn't accepted, or it wasn't supported. If you learned as a little kid that stepping up to be the happy or funny one kept the peace, your brain took notes. You learned this urgent need to constantly fix the atmosphere around you. And over time, your brain just turned humor and laughter into its default response for handling any kind of pressure. It was, and still is, a strategy to make sure you stay safe in your environment.
Now, how does this affect the people around us? That's Section 4, emotional contagion and control, managing the room and reclaiming authority.
It is so vital to understand your own social dynamics here.
Often, we look at someone giggling and assume they're just laughing because it's funny. But for individuals who are highly tuned in to the emotions of the people around them, their brain is actually reacting to the tension of others just as much as their own. So in a really tense social setting, they are laughing to reduce hidden stress in the room. You aren't laughing at a joke, you're laughing to try and manually lighten the heavy mood for everyone else. It's this subtle attempt to diffuse the tension so that everyone, yourself included, can finally feel grounded and safe again.
And the final piece of this whole psychological puzzle, it's all about control. Uncertainty and pain create this sudden, terrifying loss of control that the human brain literally cannot stand. But by shifting a painful moment into a humorous one, even if we're talking really dark humor here, you instantly gain back a small sense of authority over the situation. You are essentially turning from a victim into an observer. It pulls you up and out of the immediate pain, and it lets you process this terrible circumstance completely on your own terms. Honestly, it's a remarkably clever defensive maneuver by your mind.
And finally, we arrive at Section 5, You Are Not Broken, reframing a perceived flaw as a strength.
Look, if you've recognized yourself in anything we've talked about today, I really, truly want you to internalize this next sentence. Your brain isn't broken, it's protecting you. That awkward giggle, that totally inappropriate smile during a fight, it is not a flaw in your character. Not at all. It's actually a sign that your brain is working overtime to keep you functional when things get unimaginably tough. Understanding these hidden patterns is literally the very first step towards self-acceptance. Because once you actually know the mechanism, you can stop judging yourself so harshly and start seeing your reactions in a completely new, way more compassionate light.
And so I want to leave you with a question to chew on as we wrap up. Knowing your mind's secret survival tool, how will you react the next time someone laughs in the dark? Whether it's you or a friend, or maybe a partner who suddenly cracks a smile during a really tough conversation. Will you see them as insensitive? Or will you recognize the invisible shield they're so desperately trying to hold up? Start noticing these hidden psychological patterns out there in your daily life, and just watch how it completely transforms the way you see yourself and the people around you. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.